in need of some expansive tendencies here on this old Coyote Medicine Show in the material reality to match the flow we got going on here on the radio day in, day out, Monday through Friday, weekday mornings, right on through 5 beautiful hours a day of live and spontaneous tunage that makes your heart large, and a whole lot of rap to go with it, a whole lot of love and energy, a whole lot of awakening and clarity. Oh, babies, we are stepping in to our own true reality, one way or the other, whether we're here encouraging onward or you're somewhere else with it, you're always on your way. It's just a step-by-step process that gets us there. Just like getting through your school years, you know. You put up with a modicum of brainwashing because you know you have to pay your dues to the reality. Well, this is a little different. This is seeing through the eclipse placed over your heart and seeing your true reality. And therein is the new start. The way that you see it right now is the way that it will be, and how. So babies, allow yourself to settle back into your own truth, to feel it inside. Then you'll have a reason to give yourself a nice little embrace. Because you know you've been rocking steady in this reality since the day you were born, and even beyond that, both directions. Right into this moment of right now, babies. You see, you're the clearest human being there could ever be. You're the one that gets it right. You're the one that knows how to spread those wings and take flight. Now that's metaphorical, yes indeed. But it becomes a literal reality as you remember your true presence here and where you are when you're sleeping and dreaming, partying down with your angelic friends, straightening things out in this reality, a little adjustment here, a little minor repair over there. This person, because they're significant in this reality, cannot remain a street punk. So we're going to go show them a little dose of reality and get them thinking in this way, you know, touch their heart. We do things like this for one another in our sleep all the time. And we may not even know directly the persons we're so affecting as a soul presence traveling around in our own reality, which expands to include way beyond this reality, this universal reality, which is such a matrix, such a holographic experience that people tend to take as a reality and give truth to that which is fictitious. But see, you're always suspicious inside. There is a surreal nature to all of the agony and ecstasy that goes on here and all of the experience in between that. There is that surreal feeling you've had since you were a tiny child. There is that place you go to in your quiet moments when you're awake and you're not sleeping, where you experience the life as it truly is. You feel it, you see it, you live it, and you start to understand the nature of the true dream we're involved in. It's a dreamy thing, a swirl of bright emotion that kind of spirals outward from a center heart and becomes a big old spiral torus of creation, which means kind of a donut-shaped thing that's ever expanding outward from the central heart. Every speck of it, touched by the eternal threads of the golden heart which brings creation into being, and the experience therein, every speck of it, born of that golden speck of light at the center of all hearts, at the center of all universes, at the center of all creation. The mother love, I call it, but it's got the father in it too. It's a very steady love and deeply, deeply powerful in its emotion, its need, its desire, its fulfillment too in its own creation, its need to create, its desire to create, its need, its desire to experience in that creation the fullness of its ever-loving heart. And the only way it can do that is by expanding its conscious presence into us all. So that's what's been done here in this holographic earth reality with Mother Gaia at the helm, taking charge, the real heart of creation, that which nurtures creation into being. That which fosters it and keeps it going is the other side of that energy. But see, there are no sides. It moves as a singular flow through us, just like that golden light of love that becomes the creation around us. This is the metaphor and the reality. Golden light of love that flows through us, right to us and right through us, and becomes what we perceive in creation, what we feel here, what we are here. That's what's real to us in this moment. And that's why we so encourage you to remember what's been going on in your dreaming time, so you can see what's going on in this dreamy awakenedness that's really sleepwalking, but becoming something more than that now, isn't it? And how? You see, the time of dilly-dallying around in the old reality and of using all of our manipulative techniques to get ahead, etc., is over with. All of this, I don't care if it's expressed militaristically or secretly, or if it's just something in a relationship, your way of having, quote, quote, controlling your life. Yeah, right. You've been out of control forever and there ain't no control. That's why you have such a great need for it. Do you see that? There's no need for controlling anything. Just go with the flow of the heart. Trust the love you feel, in other words. And let it provide for you that which is real, the same way it does in your dream time when you experience all of these connections, both with your historical past, your present, and the historical future too, because it's all written in this moment of now. And that's what we experience, and how? In the sleeping, dreaming times. So your meditation, your communication, your communicative times are just there to remind you of the reality you live in already when you're dreaming. And make it a reality when you're awakened, so you can awake while you're dreaming and walking through the awake times too, you see. And pretty soon that dream becomes the full part of creation that it is. And you see beyond the terrible lies in which we have lived. They just dissolve away, along with all aspects of it, the militarism, all the secret space program, all the dumb underground bases, etc. All the moon bases, the Mars bases, all of it, it just dissolves. And true reality takes its place. Because as the illusion dissolves, what you're going to see but what's really there. I compare it to the motion picture that's being played in a great big old theater, finally coming to its conclusion, and now the projector shuts down and the house lights come up. And we see who we're really here with participating in this grand experience. And God, we know everybody in the audience as if it's ourselves. And we knew all the actors in the play because that was ourselves. But the grand projection is over. Now you watch, in the material reality, what you'll see is an increase in the activity of the sun. Which is not, by the way, a fiery ball. That's the eclipse you see placed over the true sun. Yet in the true sun is the one. The mother and the son joined, united, the realms. See, this is kind of the male side of the realm, and the other side of the sun is kind of the female. That's kind of how we divided it. Polarities, remember, we played it that way. So the mother energy, the nurturing energy, was kind of lost to the hard reality over on this side of the sun through the eclipse. Now, see, the eclipse is like a great big filter. It makes the sun look like a big old fiery ball. But people who live in space programs know the reality. They've seen the spaceships come and go through the gateway of love, which is the sun. Now you will see the sun's activity increase. And then you will see the illusion fall away, and the sun gets brighter and brighter until it absorbs into everything that is here. And there is no longer a sun in the sky. The sun is in you and I. And all the rest that lives, you see, that's its normal form of creation. It radiates from the inner part of the earth, the inner part of the person, and becomes creation. Then, see, we don't have that golden thread anymore. We're the rainbow of creation, see. It's kind of a reversal of flow, a complete change in the way we experience our living life. Because we're no longer separated from the essential source of creation, the golden heart of love, expressed in the sun, which is the gateway, and the uniting of the mother and father energies, the polarities, the genderization, the polarization of this reality dissolves. That's the process we're undergoing, each and every one of us here on this Coyote Medicine Show, day in and day out. But in this life as we're living it, tuned into this Coyote Medicine Show perhaps in a different way, in a mystical way, or a metaphysical way, or a psychic way, etc. It's all the same thing, really. People just have all these silly definitions because our ego needed it. We needed to identify with something in this life and make that a part of our character, you know. It's okay. We've lived like that. It's not a bad thing. But now's the time to reform it, rehabilitate it, see past the bullshit lie of the old empty ego that can only break down and cry or try to fill itself full of, you know, bullshit reality, full of crap that ain't real. Yet it got a lot of reality because of that. See, all things service in some way. All things are in service to the heart, even that we perceive as our ego. Do you understand that that's been out of control because of conditioning? That we've been made to feel inside a polarity. That we've been stretched to the max because of it. That we allow ourselves to try and resolve that outside of ourselves again and again until we finally learn the lesson that it's only within where it began. And then resolutions everywhere. School's out forever and we're done with it. And we can move on and be who and what and when and how that we need to be and what we really are. The same thing we experience in our dreaming life as we're sleeping. You see, babies, it's all so simple. It's all so sweet and all so doggone pure inside of you. Like that moment we speak of when finally, as the baby child, you allowed yourself to experience the full nature of love. The full nature of the creation there. And you were entertained and enthralled and enthused. Just like you're getting to be now, despite the mysterious questions still bouncing around inside. That kind of prevent you from taking this ride, yet taking the ride with you. See, they're resolving as you go through it. Don't hold anything against yourself or anyone else. Just be what you are. Be where you need to be. Be with whom you need to be. Be how you are. Be in the natural flow, you see. And everything comes to you naturally. God, it's so beautiful, babies. And such a great way of being, such a great way of life. And a total reformation of this one. Oh, yeah, babies. House lights coming up now. Ooh, wait till you see who's in the credits. Oh, baby, so says Grandpa, getting in the flow of this medicine show here this morning on the Hazy Radio Network, the rockin'est network you ever found. Since the wake-up call with Grandpa Koyote is here to be found in that Coyote Medicine Show. Day in, day out, babies. Woo-wee. I love you. Man, it hurts so good and it hurts so fine, especially when we realize we've always been living in what can only be called the divine paradigm. Yes, indeed, babies. That's your reality. That's the bubble that we've lived in outside of. See, there's a bubble in a bubble in a bubble, but there's the bubble at the center of it all. And that's what we're reminded of in those moments of time when we begin to experience a fullness, a full feeling in creation, you see. And sometimes it's only by the avenues of pain that we get there. And we've allowed that. We've allowed ourselves to be stretched like rubber from one end of the reality to the other. We've stretched our conscious presence to the point where here at the center it almost didn't even exist for a while. It was so polarized, so pulled out there. Yet, the true magnetism of the ever-loving heart of creation, which exists in each one of us, which is represented by the two sides of the heart. I kind of see the heart as a larger presence that has its little point down here in the solar plexus that flows up over our chest like a heart does, and then comes back down right to the center in between our two little tee-taws, whether we're male or female. You know what I mean? The middle of the chest right there. That's where the heart resides the best. But it's in the solar plexus. And of course, in a larger diagram, then it starts in your root chakra and spreads around the top of your head and points back into the top of that. And in a larger sense, it starts around your feet and points back into the top of your head. From there, surrounds your entire person. That's your auric field. It's always given in heart shape. Heart wave, man, heartfelt. I mean, that's the general flow. Of course, it's kind of spherical around that, too. See, like I say, it's a bubble. And on some levels that bubble hurts. On some levels that bubble can allow for painful experience. And that's when we stretch. See, that's pain. When we're polarized, when we're pulled one way or the other, both directions at the same time, we've stretched ourselves down to almost nothing. But pain has held us together. It became the centering agent, and through the pain, the love began to regain itself, to pull itself from the extremities of creation back to the center part of the ever-loving heart of the universe. See, that's why school's out, and it's out forever, not just for summer. Summer's over with already. We're into harvest time now, babies. This is when the real degrees get handed out, you see. And they're degrees of creation. They're degrees of love and of how far you've been able to expand into it because of how much pain you've put up with in your life. Conflict, too. That's what pain is. Pain and conflict, same thing. Like love and life, same thing, you see. And pain and conflict, of course, are the illusion. Illness right along with it. Now, scientific types are going to argue with you about that. They're going to say this is the reality and that's bullshit. But guess what? The real scientists already know because they're living the other way. They're living the other side. They got there through some form of mathematical equation. I can't even imagine how you could do that unless you're just 3, 3, 3, 3, 3 until it's the end of everything. Because there is no end. And no beginning either. 3 just goes on and on and on and on. It's the triad of love repeating itself in every human being. See, that's symbolic what's represented in the heart. It's like an upside down triangle. But where's the point? Back to a right side up triangle, you see. The regenerative thing. Some people confuse it. They think it's a Merkabah, that it's a pyramid on top of a pyramid makes a 6-pointed star. Well, that's a beautiful representation of a mixed-up form of being, which is called humanity, and where we've been living in the eclipse of the sun. Yes, indeed. But now, as our situation resolves in this reality, those pyramids join butt to butt perfectly, and then point to point with all the other pyramids in creation. You see, and there is no division. That's the basic building blocks of life. That's why the pyramidic structure, which reflects the triad of love unified in all 4 directions and all 7 points of directional influence, including the center. You see? So it's really what do they call it? A tetrahedron. It's a 4-side pyramid that becomes a diamond shape because it's like joined butt to butt, as if there is no separation between the top pyramid and the bottom one. One points out that way, one points out that way, you see. That's the field of life that each human being lives in. That's what's in the center of our being and person, is a representation of that pyramidic, that tetrahedron, diamond-shaped kind of energy. It's the 7 points of life, the very basic building blocks that life is based on and completed upon. As this dawning continues in you today, as you continue to awaken to what you've been doing while you've been sleeping, well, babies, then you start to see a little deeper meaning in the pyramid and what it represents to us. And you start to understand the natural flow of energies in creation, the triad nature in all of creation, everything 3. Everything 3. 3 points of light, which become 7 points of light. Join butt to butt, not like the Merkabah, not as a mixed triangle, but as a perfect, diamond-shaped tetrahedron. Now, forgive me if I'm not using exactly the right terminology. I'm not a mathematician, let alone, what do they call that, geometrist. I can't do that stuff. I never could figure out how 3.14 made a circle. But anyway, that's me. So I may not have the terminology exactly correct, but I know you see what it'd be. In fact, if you close your eyes, maybe you'll see that little tetrahedron right now, see? You see, it's kind of one of the basic essence of life, Of course, the very center of it, where you are, where your conscious presence is also the very center of all life. It's a replication. And that's what it does. It replicates itself in all forms of being in this way. And it starts with that one tiny little speck of light at the center of it all, which expands then out in the 4 directions, as we call it, which is 6 directions, 7 counting the center light, see, from which it all expands. That's our life at the center of all presence. That's our person expanded into creation in that baby-like moment of love, when we begin to experience our true reality and the age of the eclipse is over. Hey guys, you're going to want to be here tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Eastern, 5 a.m. Mountain, 4 a.m. Pacific, high noon over there in the desert of England. Sorry guys, just teasing you. For another exciting episode of the Coyote Medicine Show here with Grandpa Coyote. Don't you know, your morning wake-up call and so much more. You can stay tuned right after this show for a replication of some Coyote energy for another couple hours following this, right up to high noon here in the Rocky Mountain High and 2 p.m. over there in the eastern part of the country. Babies, it's a pleasure being here with you. May all pains and difficulties be resolved in this way on this very day. In this moment of time, let's be at peace and be sublime. See you tomorrow morning or again some other time here on the Coyote Medicine Show, only and exclusively on the ever-loving Hazy Radio Network.